Soul Survivor sucks. That is no secret, as it is obvious this game mode gets overshadowed by bounty hunt on a daily basis. In an effort to find out why this is the case, and to give me an excuse to continue my prestige grind, I only played Soul Survivor for an entire prestige. So, in this video, I will share with you my findings on the pros and cons of Soul Survivor should you play it as your main game mode. First, I want to start off with the pros, the first one being that this game mode can be very fun. I have just over 1,000 hours on this game and I typically sit in the 5 to 6 star range, so when I queue into these Soul Survivor lobbies with no skill-based matchmaking, I am usually against a lot of lower skill players, so I am basically a juggernaut in a field of shitters. And the power trip for me is intense. If you see this video and you played against a JustMatt who shit-talked you after killing you, I am sorry. The rush of dominating gets to my head, and there really isn't a better way to celebrate without rubbing it in. But besides that, I also had lots of fun running weapons that I don't typically run in Bounty Hunt. I'm sure you could guess, but running bow in 5 to 6 stars of Bounty Hunt isn't really viable. However, in Soul Survivor, it's very much viable, and it's very fun. Honestly, I think bow is actually OP against noobs because of its one-shot potential, and if they don't die in one hit, they have intense bleeding and very low health. And granted they aren't very good at the game, it's basically always a free kill since most people can't compose themselves under pressure. Next for the pros, we have financial aid. A weird way of saying it, but basically you get free stuff. Free money, free guns, tools, and consumables, and of course a free hunter with some traits depending on how many rifts you close. Winning a match feels great, but winning knowing you have some insane perks and a $1,000 loadout feels amazing. And last but not least, but obviously if you are playing by yourself, this is a good option as to not feel the pressure of an entire team coordinating and pushing you. I know there weren't many pros, that's why I did them first. Now let's see why this game mode sucks. First, I want to touch on the best of the cons, meaning that this isn't so bad, but it still irks me. That is the RNG factor. Spawning in with a shit gun or a shit spawn and getting into a spawn fight, which is, by the way, spawn fights are basically every game, so then you just die because you were defenseless, feels like ass. I've had moments where I just can't find anything. No guns, no healing, etc. Meanwhile, my opponent finds the only gun in the entire compound and I proceed to die. Now, for the really bad cons, player progression is terrible. Do not play this game mode if you want to grind prestiges. I know what I said in the beginning and in the title, but I lied. I didn't actually play this game mode for an entire prestige because doing that would be absolutely absurd. When I realized how bad the progression was, I changed my goal from an entire prestige to 100 games of Soul Survivor, so I committed and I did just that. Might I add, I never touched Bounty Hunt until after the 100 games, so all XP gained is just from 100 games of Soul Survivor. I wanted to do an entire prestige, but I just couldn't. It would probably take me almost 50 hours of gameplay, which is a ton for one prestige when I can usually prestige once every 5 to 7 hours of playtime. Since XP is tied to how many hunter levels you gain in a mission, I find myself getting only about 500 per game, 250 if I die really early, and sometimes 750. It's always a flat number on an interval of 250. If you look at the screenshot here, you can see I both won the game and got 5 kills, which is about half the people that spawn in, and I only get 750 XP. That's because all of the other XP goes to the hunter, but since the hunter doesn't level high enough for me to retire them, and I can't play Bounty Hunt to get them there either, I basically can't do anything to get the XP. Which is why it's funny, because you can actually level up more efficiently by suiciding, because when you die, you get to keep half of the XP you gain. But you don't have a hunter for the XP to go to since you died, so it goes to your bloodline instead. So had I killed myself in this match where I got almost 4,000 XP, I would have gotten almost 2,000 for dying. Matter of fact, in every game I won, had I just killed myself during those last few seconds of the match, I would have gotten more XP than if I survived. Next, another con is that this game mode is terrible for challenges. Since I can't spam reshuffle for challenges, I'm stuck with what I got. I can barely get any of these done. They have to be super easy, like kill armors with fire damage or something, because the very specific ones such as kill an immolator with choke clouds requires me to find both choke bombs and an immolator. But the thing about finding an immolator is that since we all spawn in so spread out, all the AI is usually dead, so I can't find an immolator when I get choke bombs. Might I add, beals don't spawn in quick play, which I think is lame. Granted, the devs advertised it as an anti-camping mechanic, and this is literally a campy game mode. But that also means I can't get choke beals to do this challenge. I couldn't once get my challenges done, and I still need to finish the event, which is another reason I want to cut the challenge short instead of doing an entire prestige. The next reason is that the game feels very unrewarding despite winning. On top of that, time consuming. In 100 games, I got 18,000 hunt dollars. When you prestige, you get 14k, so I only got 14,000 hunt dollars out of 100 games. While you get free gear and a hunter, that's cool and all, but very underwhelming for the amount of time I sunk into the game. Most of my matches where I made it to the end game and either won or died to the last guy are about 15 minutes long. I have some games that are less than 5 minutes from dying instantly, and I got a lot of about 10-minute reportings from me getting to mid-game. Usually, bounty hunts are like 20 minutes for me, maybe 25 if it goes a bit longer, so the time sink into Soul Survivor just does not seem worth it. I feel like I could have done 20 bounty hunts and earned more money and XP than these 100 quick plays. It overall feels like a waste of time because I feel like I could have gotten 3 if not almost 3 prestiges from this much gameplay. Lastly, the game mode is unbalanced due to the lack of punishment for not playing the game. There is a huge player count of either new or just bad players who won't play the objective. The amount of players disengaged, sitting in bushes, and dying to timeout because they are scared is a lot more common than I thought it was before I did this challenge. One of the most annoying ways to die is when I'm running halfway across the map to the wellspring, and when I approach the compound, I die to some scrub camping in a bush because he's too afraid to push the wellspring since he's inexperienced and doesn't know what to do, only to then die when the timer runs out. And to top it off, there's no punishment for this playstyle. Now you can try and argue, but Matt, he loses his hunter and all his gear. But the thing is, that's not his hunter or his gear. It was all free. He doesn't take ownership until he wins, so he doesn't lose anything and can do it again and again and again every match if he wanted to. Now, those are my pros and cons to Soul Survivor, and I think it's clear as to why this game mode isn't popular. Now let's look at my overall statistics from these 100 games. In total, I won 32 games. I would have won 3 more, but instead I traded and no one won, but I'll call it 35. I did rage quit 2 games, but not because of the game, but rather my mouse having issues, so I didn't see those ones through. Thus, approximately a 35% win rate, although I blame myself for most of these losses. 13 games I made it to the last guy and I fumbled on him. This could easily be over 50%, and then 7 of my games are what I consider high kill games in which I die. High kill being 3 or more since only up to 11 players spawn, and most of them get into spawn fights, eliminating most of the players right off the rip. In terms of progression, I will show you what I have unlocked in the arsenal so you can get a grasp of the XP I managed to get for all the guns, tools, and consumables. As you can see, I have a lot of variants and special ammos unlocked, although you cannot progress guns that aren't unlocked through the bloodline yet, so there technically should be more unlocked than what you see here. You can see some guns are maxed out, and I maxed out all of the healing and poison shots. I'm not going to go over everything, so you can slow down or rewatch the video to get a closer look. You can also see at the top I have 18,000 hunt dollars, although I did buy like 2 or 3 hunters that had good traits, so it could be 19 or 20,000. Other than that, I didn't spend money. And if you look at the XP, do not be fooled by the level. Each level requires more XP than the last, and it's 100,000 XP for a full prestige. So, despite being a high level, I'm not even halfway there even though I played 100 games. All in all, I don't recommend playing this as your main game mode. Before the challenge, I was expecting that it was gonna be bad, and it turned out to be shit instead. My prediction before completing this was that I was gonna say it's good after you prestige because you can level up a few of the guns, get some XP, and skip a few levels before your first bounty hunt, and then also level up the healing shots quickly, but none of that turned out to be true. Instead, I won my first game with 4 kills, and I didn't even get to level 3. I thought I screenshotted the XP screen for that match, but apparently I didn't, or I would show you, so you'll just have to believe me. Anyways, thanks for watching.